When we're dealing with forgiveness, outrage is important. Have you ever had anybody told you should really be more mad about things than you are? Good. Somebody told you that. I'm glad somebody told you that. But just in general, is that a message that you hear? You should really be more outraged about sin than you are. The things that have been done against you, you should really be more mad about it than you are. It's not a normal thing. Here's why that's important. You cannot forgive something unless you are being honest with yourself about what actually happened. Here's a visual to go with that. Let's say you're on a battlefield. You're on a battlefield and you've been shot. And this is not just like a graze. This is not a nick. This is not a flesh wound. You've been gut shot. And you are lying on the battlefield and you are holding your guts in your hands. If you go to the medic tent and you say, I have a scratch, what are they going to give you? They're going to give you a Band-Aid. Can you fix a gut shot with a Band-Aid? If you don't tell them the extent of your injuries, will they give you the supplies to treat the wound? No. If you say you've got a scratch, if you euphemize it, if you try to make it smaller, if you minimize and diminish and try to not look it face to face, as long as you don't look down at your stomach, you can pretend you're not gut shot, it's just a scratch. All you're going to get is a Band-Aid. You have to look at the wound. You have to say, I'm holding my guts in my hands and I've been shot. I need antibiotics. I need antiseptic. I need sutures. I need stuff to pack the wound. I need somebody who knows how to put my guts back into place without twisting anything so I don't get an infection later. I need really big help. It's the same with emotional wounds. It's the same with sexual assault. It's the same with psychological terrorism. It's the same with domestic violence. If you are saying to yourself, it wasn't that bad, you're asking yourself to be okay with a Band-Aid. It is so important if you have experienced deep, visceral, emotional, spiritual, psychological, verbal, social, intellectual, sexual violation, to call it by name. It's hard. It's excruciating. And it's absolutely necessary. As long as you are telling yourself you didn't really mean to, instead of saying, when that happened to me, it was rape. Then you will be trying to forgive a scratch with a Band-Aid and then wondering why you keep having infection festering in your soul. We have to allow ourselves to look our wounds in the eye and call them by name. It was rape, it was assault, it was battery, it was molestation, it was abuse, it was manipulation, it was deprivation, it was isolation. You have to be able to get to the point, sob it out if you need to. Write it down if you can't say it out loud. It can be so hard to form the words in your mouth and say it out loud. But when you get there, it loses its power over you when you put it out in the air. And there's a step in healing that comes with calling it by name, because you're no longer minimizing it for yourself. And then you can begin to ask God for the amount of forgiveness you need for a gut shot instead of for a scratch. Because forgiveness for a scratch isn't going to cover a gut shot. It's not going to get you anywhere for very long. Outrage is good because you are just as worthy of compassion You are just as worthy of someone saying, I'm so mad that happened to you. I'm so angry that someone did something to you like that. That was wrong that happened to you. You are just as worthy of that as your best friend, as your sister, as your mother, as your daughter, as someone else that you know, even though you hesitate to give that compassion to yourself.